Shut up, Philip. Hi, Cornwall.
Hi.
Welcome to the podcast. Why were you so
Good to
eager to
be
join?
here. What?
Why were you so eager to join? We're gonna Ghosty on here.
Holy
Philip, you
shit,
stay in the
finally.
audience. Yeah, okay, we're gonna turn this into an actual podcast.
Okay.
Ghosty, what are we discussing on the podcast today?
Well, like you wanted to discuss about, we're gonna discuss about game design.
Okay, game design, awesome.
Here, let's get. You want to get Earth up here?
Yeah, let's get Earth
Actually,
on the
it's like-
podcast.
Yeah, alright. Let's get Earth up here.
This podcast sucks ass, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Start.
Yeah.
We need to
start-
come up
start
with
again.
topics fucking
All
beforehand.
right, you know what?
Yeah.
Like I think talking about game design is a good topic. Not a tear down map. Just what you think
Game
about
design.
games, because I know Bear
Yeah.
likes talking about liking games
Yeah,
and
that's
disliking
true.
them.
That's true.
So
Talk about-
Let's talk
Let's
about
talk about
CS:GO.
politics.
Let's talk about how
Yeah, let's talk
fucking
about
terrible
CS:GO.
CS:GO is. Let's talk about that.
okay,
I
Bear?
love playing
No,
10 matches
alright.
and then I keep deranking, even though I win every 10 matches.
Fuck off. We're
Alright,
not
we
actually
have-
making
we have
CS:GO.
two
This
people
is a
here.
fucking root thing.
we have hold on. We have two people. One of them plays CS:GO, and one of them is Captain Bear. All right.
All right.
Bear, why do you hate CS:GO so
I hate
much?
CS:GO because it is actually every single thing about CS:GO I cannot fucking stand. I hate this game so much.
But you need to be a little more. You need to clarify a little.
Yes, I know. I'm aware, and I'm going to go on like a 10-minute rant why I hate CS:GO so much right now. So, the first thing is, I think the thing that pisses me off the most about CS:GO isn't the game, but it's like the community behind it. And it's
Fair
not
enough.
in the traditional sense where everybody's the toxic asshole. I think I just hate that half the people that play the game also hate the game, and they just do it for gambling purposes and skins. And I fucking despise that so much.
Okay, so the in-game market impacts it negatively.
Yes.
That's your point. Okay. What do you think about like the movement shooting? How if you move, you
That is-
become extremely inaccurate.
From a
Yeah,
gameplay
just-
perspective, that is the most fucking stupid thing I have ever seen in any video game. The fact that you have to stand still to shoot better, like more accurately, is the most stupid fucking shit I have ever seen. I've played games that have an emphasis. Even fucking, I don't even think Valorant does that. Does Valorant do that?
Valorant does that. Yeah.
It does do that?
Valorant has a really similar system to CS:GO.
Okay, well, I've noticed it more in CS:GO than I did Valorant.
Yeah,
in
Valorant
because in
seems a
Valorant,
little more
in
fair
Valorant, there
with the
is
shooting.
even more movement options, even in fucking Valorant. That is my least favorite part about CS:GO from a gameplay perspective. When you stand still, you literally aim worse. And I fucking hate that. That is the worst fucking part of CS:GO.
Ghosty, do you mind the movement shooting? Like since you have a lot of hours, I presume.
It's fucking horrible.
Okay. Why do you? Well, do you even play like anymore?
I throw. That's all I do.
Okay, so we have CS:GO and Siege. What do you think about Siege? Both of you.
Siege is worse.
Used to be fun.
Why?
Siege is worse. I don't think Siege... I think CS:GO, between the two, is the worst game. It's definitely the worst game. But there is
Okay.
something about Siege that I
just
cannot
makes it horrible.
pinpoint.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. And I've sat down for hours trying to think about this. But there's
It's not
something
satisfying,
fucking
right?
about it that I despise. And I can't believe I have to say it. But when I used to play Due Process, it's literally every single thing that I fucking hate about Siege, but it's fixed. And I think that game allowed me to figure out why I hate Siege so much, and partly
Too many
CS:GO.
abilities.
It's not even that. It's not that. It's just like the core gameplay.
I think that's a
loop.
part of the problem, though.
It is definitely a part of the problem. But it's like the core gameplay loop of a tactical shooter like that in that traditional sense with like the infiltrating and defense.
Yeah.
It's like after you play like 5 times on each map, it feels incredibly repetitive for me anyway. For CS:GO, I don't think it has that problem as like as bad at all as Siege does. But when you play like a little bit on each map on Siege, it's like you know the choke points people are going to be going through.
You know the
And
hot spots.
It plays almost exactly
the same every time.
every single time. And I mean, for some people, they like that comfort of like the,
Repetitiveness.
you know, yeah, the repetitiveness,
And
which
knowing
is
where people
fine.
are, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's fine. But like for me, no. So due process is kind of like it's randomly generated maps. That for me personally, that scratched that itch a lot. So that was nice.
All right. Due process is nice, but with due process, I think like it's not hit registration as much as the game fails to convey to you that you hit someone
I agree
well
with that.
enough.
I
Like
agree
it
with that.
feels like you're shooting Nerf bullets at them, and you can't tell if you did damage.
Yeah, I
Like
think
I
that I
yeah.
definitely think that they could fix like the feedback.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not even like it's very weird because I think of the game's main problem with that isn't the like damage output itself. I think it's just communicating to the player how much damage you actually dealt.
Yeah.
Because
like
it can trick them
couldn't.
into like thinking that they can do a lot when it's a little. So people that have like 500 hours on the game obviously know what does what damage at what range, blah blah blah. But if you have like 10 or 20 hours on the game, sometimes it can be a really big like coin toss.
Okay, so I have 5 hours in the game, and like 4.4 hours, and I couldn't tell you, for how long I should spray with each gun because like it doesn't feel like anything is hitting hard or if anything is hitting at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you just kind of spray in their direction until their death animation starts, which is a big problem with it.
Yeah, I
Um,
definitely think that's probably one of the worst parts of due process.
Like other than that, it has a very nice gameplay loop, including the procedural generation.
yeah.
So why do you think it hasn't been able to like gain traction? Like there are 60 concurrent players right now. I just checked. 60 players an hour ago.
I definitely think it's because of the business model the game is approaching. It does receive a lot of updates, but I do recall one of the developers saying that like they do believe in a like kind of like a thing where you buy the game and you don't play it to like grind for cosmetics or whatever stuff like that. There's no like leveling system. You play to play the game. Which,
there is
I
no.
mean, there's basically no, and this is like a huge thing with gaming nowadays. Personally, it's not a thing for me, but for other people, this is huge. And I think it's because there's much less of an incentive to play the game, not only just in general, but by yourself. Due process by yourself is a very hit or miss kind of thing. Because if your teammates do not have a mic, the game is probably just as bad as CSGO. A little bit better, but you get the point. So, not only does it not have some sort of leveling system to encourage people to play the game, or anything like that, but another huge problem with it is the focus on teamwork. So it's always better with like a squad, and everybody knows how hard it is to organize a bunch of people to get on the game at once. And so that is a huge problem with the game. Definitely with keeping concurrent players.
So people like live update models,
Yes.
but at the same time, it's like a double-edged sword from at least my perspective, where like you're not getting access to all the content you actually paid for.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's basically locked behind a level cap.
Yeah. I
But-
think they're adding. I think the developer is like double taking that and starting to realize his mistake though, and I do think they're adding some sort of like cosmetic system.
The season pass system that came very recently really just isn't very good. I think at least.
I feel
Alright,
like
one
battle
second.
passes are just a big grabbing cash, crashing, whatever. the fuck it
I
is.
don't think battle passes are that bad. I think battle passes
Depends
are
on the
fine.
game. Depends on the game. Because if it's like due process, and they're like, I mean, attempting to get cash because it is a small team, and that game is pretty small.
I mean, yeah, the battle pass business model does definitely make sense, and yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It works very well because not only is it a bunch of shit for like a cheap price, well, a fairly cheap price depending on the game, but the main reason a battle pass works so incredibly fucking well, and it is really genius, is the fact that just what I was like talking about, it encourages people to play. It like in order for you to reach the max level on a battle pass, you have to play the game. And that is the fucking genius of it. That is why it works so well.
You know,
What kind of surprises me is that like people end up not playing for the gameplay loop. Like if it's unsatisfying, of course they're not gonna want to play, but they end up playing for the stuff they're promised if they keep playing.
Exactly. That
Which
is
like
yeah.
kind of it's weird.
It's because I think it's like it's kind of like, oh, how do I describe this? Oh fuck. I don't know how to describe this, but it's like there's some sort, like with gaming nowadays, especially like live service games, there's a kind of like feedback where you have to constantly reward the player for playing and say, wow, great job, you just got this, you got that. But if it's something like an upgrade, like with COD, for example, not in the Battle Royale games, but in like the arena shooter ones, you unlock new guns and new abilities and shit like that. They don't make you objectively better at the game, but they will give you that extra push to be like, not to be better, but it'll help you out and it'll allow you to, you know, get more experimentative in the game. Now, and then you have shit like, and I don't want to talk about this game, man. I don't want to, but you have shit like Fortnite, where the shit you unlock, Fortnite is the most wicked game of the last generation. And I don't know how they pulled it off, because nothing that you unlock changes the gameplay loop. It is just fucking stupid cosmetics, and I don't know how they made so much goddamn money.
So what if an unpaid season pass were to give you advantages? Like you're playing a Battlefield game, right?
Ooh, that's
the more you level up, the more attachments you get, for example, and they objectively give you an advantage. Like a sight will help you see better, vertical grip will reduce your recoil. What about that? Like, since you're basically making it harder for newer players because you're giving veterans, older players, an advantage.
Earth, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you gotta look in the podcast chat right now. You gotta look
please,
in the
can you
podcast.
please spin that? Please spin that message.
You gotta look in the podcast chat right now. I gotta pin this. Who made this?
You gotta pin that. It was by fucking Fibo. Holy shit, it's
Thank
amazing.
you, Fibo.
Holy shit.
That's so true. That's so fucking good. Because it's true. It's true.
Holy
like
shit. Alright, guys, let's continue talking about the conversation that we were actually having.
Oh yeah. So what if you give people an advantage, like a reward for playing, like attachments for the guns? Is that a problem?
No.
Because like but like I mean, it's a disadvantage against newer people, isn't it?
Kind of. Well, I mean, it depends on two things. It depends how powerful those attachments that go in your guns are, and it also depends how fast you unlock them. Because I think with like classic arena shooters like Titanfall and COD and whatever, you unlock shit every fucking game for the first couple hours. Every single game, you get like 5 new things, and usually those things are not that bad. Like a new gun in COD, like honestly, that's not gonna fucking help you steamroll everything, because COD is, for the most part, fairly well balanced. Some of the games anyway. But now there is some stupid fucking shit, like Titanfall Smart Pistol, fucking aimbot.
I was about to mention that.
That is actually like shit like that is actually so fucking stupid, and I don't know why it exists. But I mean, even the Smart Pistol is beatable. Like even that is beatable, because you can only get like 2 kills with it.
Yeah, not only do you have limited ammo, you have one entire clip, but it's only 12 rounds.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the person actually has to put you in the fucking reticle.
But it still feels unfair, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, it's aimbot, yes. Is it shitty aimbot? Yes. Is it fair? No, because it's fucking aimbot. Now, if you give everybody aimbot, then, I mean, yeah, it's fair. Technically, from a balancing standpoint. But you get the point.
Okay, so what I've noticed with at least the Battlefield games, the recent ones, the starter weapons are always like one of the best ones. So you're still getting rewarded, but you know it's not making anything unfair.
Exactly.
So the starter people can fight back as well as the others. Okay. Next topic in my brain: battle royales. What do you think?
Repetitive.
I
repetitive.
used to love them. Like I used to
FG
really
came
fucking
along.
like them. And it was actually, or it wasn't Tab G that was the fucking final nail in the coffin or anything, but it was around the time, around my like 300-hour like mark playing Tab G, is when I realized how fucking terrible the battle royale genre is. But I think like the real eye-opening thing for me was when I played Tab G like 2 weeks ago, and I went to the hot drop, which I think was like big power. Nobody was there, and then I had to bike for 2 minutes to industry, and I realized how fucking boring this game can be. And and I still don't get why people like them so much. I get like at the time they were like a cool, fun idea, but now it's just so repetitive and bland, and I can't play battle royales much anymore.
So
You
like,
know the-
yeah, Ghosty.
You know, the one battle royale that I did like was the calling. I'm pretty sure some of you guys
I've
remember the
heard,
calling.
yeah, I've heard that one was good.
It was
I
like
never played
it was like the one. It was like the one really good fucking battle royale where it was like, it wasn't even fucking guns. It was melee. It was
Polling was
almost
really
purely
interesting.
melee. I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was really
No,
fucking
yeah,
cool.
like I liked it as well, but I think like I don't actually know what happened to it, but I think it had something to do with the devs just not
the
caring.
the server shut down. I think the devs actually just stopped caring about it entirely. But
Yeah,
the
so
way that they made it, if you had a gun, it was very rare to find one. And if you had it, you would have like 6 shots, but it would be really fucking powerful.
it's
See,
a more scarce approach.
it was more scouts. Yeah. It was really good. And I liked how if you had a ranged weapon like a bow as well, then you would if you meleeed someone while they had that weapon out, it would knock it out of their hand, so they wouldn't just be able to you wouldn't just be able to keep it while shooting you while you're meleeing them. And it was like
I
really
think
fucking hard to find your weapon back as well.
I think battle royales like thrive when they put you in a small environment with scarce resources.
I completely agree with that.
I like that. Yeah, I like that as well.
Battle royales can work if the map isn't fucking massive, and I don't think it's just battle royales that do this, but the
Every map,
emphasis
every
to
game.
have a huge map really, really, really kills some games. And off the top of my head, the one that suffers the most from a map that is too big is Just Cause 3. Just
Yeah.
Cause 3 has
Oh, yeah.
such a fucking huge map. It takes you like 40 minutes to get from one side to the other, and most of it is also ocean. So, and the rest of it is like
An island.
towns sprinkled around and just forest on an island. So it's like, what? It's just so fucking massive, and I mean, it works kind of the big map for the game, like it works. It's just too big, you know. It like, I don't get the fucking emphasis on this. It's like, because when you have smaller maps, the more interesting stuff for you to find is in a much more
The more
concentrated environment. The environments are more detailed. It is easier to find the cool shit that you are looking for. On a big map, you now have to fucking pour 50 hours into finding every secret, and it sucks ass.
So it's became like an industry trend where people think, well, I mean, it works. That's why they do it. But most companies just go for big maps and emphasize like the fact that you can explore them for hours on end. And I mean, if it didn't work, they wouldn't do it. So I presume it works. So we're in this like really shitty negative feedback loop of just every map getting bigger and bigger. Like even FPS games are doing it now.
Yeah, it's like really badass and awesome.
I think maps can feel big without like actually being big. If they
Absolutely.
create like a sense of mystery around what the map actually is. Like the first
Outer
thing that comes to
Wilds.
my mind is I'm not really authorized to talk about Tarkov. Don't know too much about it, but like a short hike. The map is tiny, but you don't know anything about it. It's kind of hard to traverse. It makes it feel big. Like it's an island. You're on an island. You're trying to get to the top of the hill, and your objective is clear because you're literally going up. But
You
there
don't
are
know what lies
many
ahead.
small areas and many things that lie ahead. Very small things. Like there's a boat race thing that I never found. Like I still haven't found it. There's no map, and you're kind of just going off of uh, where you remember things to be, or musical cues, because every area has its own music, which is also pretty cool.
Uh,
Or
sorry
even
to
Journey.
interrupt, but there's something I
Yes,
do want to talk about, and it was mentioned by Phoebo, who said Battlefield 2042 is gonna have colossal maps.
I really do want to talk
And
about that,
okay,
actually.
so this makes me have to address something. I don't think big maps in a video game are bad. I just think most games that have a big map don't know how to do it. In a game like Battlefield, like I've never played a Battlefield game, but from what I've seen, it is like a lot of fucking people on a huge map. Which, if you have a lot of people on a small map, that's like fucking stupid. That's mainly what a battle royale is. Actually, you have 100 people on a map that's way too big. So, I mean, in a game like from what I've seen of footage of Battlefield, I think it works. Like I think that kind of like huge map, it
I'm
works.
gonna tell you my problem with that
Sure.
format, right? So when big maps, well, so BF 2042 has like quadruple the size of the average map from Battlefield 5 and like
Right.
1.
Yeah.
And because of that, what ends up happening is they end up putting way too many open areas without
So that leads to like
knowing what's gonna
fucking
happen to the player. So
yeah.
it's gonna be so it ends up being Sniper Haven or vehicle dominated.
Right.
Like if you think about the fact that most players are infantry, most maps should um, cater to them more. But
Right.
in Battlefield, what ends up happening is like Battlefield 1 has a big problem, Battlefield 4 also, but it's a bit more tolerable. They end up having like either way too many snipers constantly sniping you because everywhere is too open, there is no cover, or a tank camping this spot that everyone has to go through. And if there is a small map, which is like close quarter oriented, like there's Operation Metro in BF4 and 3, then it ends up happening, then ends up occurring like choke points where people just toss explosives. So it's a really hard balance to get, but with like enough attention, I think it could be done. I have high hopes for BF 2042, but it's like really hard to pull off. So initially, it kind of pissed me off that they were bragging with big maps.
Yeah, that makes sense. Big maps in video games are like fucking. I mean, most suck ass. Yeah, like as I said previously, battle royales are the worst offender. But yeah, there is definitely. I'm definitely starting to cater towards small maps. But with live service games, I think it's like a slippery slope, because it also like depends on the map design and like what the game's trying to accomplish, of course.
Not only that, but the devs and the creators of it,
Yeah,
depending
exactly.
on how far they're gonna go with the details, the whole map size, its little like peaks, corners, everything about it.
Yeah, like that's something to address with maps as well. I think that a huge part of what makes like a map in a game good, and just like games in general, is also, and this is like kind of like a far cry from what we're talking about right now, like in terms of level design. But I think really what can help with a map that's like complete fucking dog shit is like its art direction and ideas and how it approaches it. Because like there's a lot of fucking games with this like really cool level design, and just like there's just games that like I don't know how to describe this, but there's a lot of like good games out there that feel incredibly uninspired with their environments. And like let's say that in a fucking Battlefield game, every single map was in the exact same setting, how much that would suck ass. And although all the maps are awesome, it would make it feel a lot less, just a lot more boring, I guess. So, I mean, taking that into account when you're making a map is also, like, incredibly important. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about on that.
I think BF3 had that issue, actually, with, like, everything being either gray or dark blue. Because it's a modern setting, and, like, that's how everything is. But in BF 2042, I think they're trying to have a lot more variety with, like, sand, deserty maps, and there's an Arctic map as well. Yeah. I mean, I hope they do well with it. Since the last Battlefield was kind of...
Yeah, I heard it wasn't good. I mean, I can't be a judge.
It was... So, what they did was they had a revive system where every time you died, you would just kind of cripple on the ground. Like, you weren't on a menu. You were literally on the ground as a dying soldier screaming for about 30 seconds every time. And in each Battlefield match, you die like 10 to 20 times. So you can imagine, like, that was one of the biggest problems, which made it really unsatisfying to play.
You know what is like a good looking game though? Ghost Runner.
Ghost Runner was fun.
Dude, it is so fucking fun.
Watch this video and then put it in full
it's
screen.
not on Steam.
Yes, it is. Ghost Runner is on Steam.
Oh, it's there's no space. I'm stupid. Okay. There we go. That's expensive. Wow.
Play Ghost Runner. You will not fucking regret it. It is so fucking... We're in Ghost Runner.
Isn't the final boss for Ghost Runner
it is
fucking
oh,
Dr. Octopus? Isn't it just
it's
Dr.
like,
Octopus?
It's a female Dr. Octopus, basically.
That is actually
it is
so uninspired. Wow.
It is...
That actually brings me to a very good thing in video games. Boss fights. Boss fights are a very interesting topic to me.
I think they're really hard to make. Like,
boss fights might be one of the hardest things to make in video games. Terraria has amazing boss fights.
Terraria has awesome boss fights.
Has some of the best boss fights I've seen in a video game.
The most painful boss in Terraria is the fucking twins. I swear to God, they're just the biggest pain in the fucking ass. It's not Ghosty.
Duke Fishron is the worst for me.
Duke Fishron is just challenging.
I fought Duke. I had such an easy time with Duke.
I don't know. I haven't fought him in a couple years. I just remember having a hard time with that one. Guys, gonna be honest. Podcast's been up for an hour now.
I mean, it's only like a 20-minute conversation though, so.
That's true.
You can make that. You can make it into a proper podcast.
Yeah, I do have to like go, like very.
That's
soon.
fine. That's fair. That's fair.
So guys, I'm gonna end the podcast right now.